Welcome, friends, it's the MovieFilm Podcast. MovieFilm Podcast, enjoy the show. Zaki, Sean, and Ryan are talking about movies. MovieFilm Podcast on the radio.
Welcome to MovieFilm. This is episode 30, brought to you by Mr. Boy Productions. My name is Zaki Hassan, and I'm joined, as always, by my good friend Brian Hall.
Hey there, episode 30. Wow.
We've come quite a ways from our early, unforgiving early episodes when the audio wasn't great and the content wasn't great. Now the audio is better, the content still isn't great, but we'll get there.
Frankly, we're not so great either.
Yes, it's true. So we're measuring down to ourselves. It's very sad.
You know what? Actually, first things first. Can I start something out here?
Absolutely.
I just finished watching the last 10 minutes of Last Crusade on Sci-Fi.
Okay.
As I'm noticing on Facebook, a lot of other people did also. So let's just put this out there. It seems like a lot of people are wondering how Indy is not immortal after drinking from the Grail.
Yes.
He and his dad has passed away in Indiana Jones 4. So Zaki.
Yes.
Could you pass on the detail that I know I myself did not understand until I was older either? But why is Indiana Jones not immortal after Last Crusade?
The price of immortality is that the cup can never cross the seal.
Right.
In other words, why is the knight immortal? Because he lived in that cave since the Crusades. So the minute Indy left the place, wherever that was, and actually probably the minute Elsa crossed the seal is when the deal was off.
And destroyed the seal.
Yeah. So the fact is that this, even before Indy 4 came out, people would be like, so Indiana Jones is immortal now? Because if you remember, there was the Indiana Jones TV series where Indy was Grandpa Simpson. People were like, how can he be old? And I was like 11 years old, and I had to sit them down and explain it. Like, listen, chump.
Yeah.
And I had to
I'll be completely honest. That was a detail that I did not pick up on either till I got older.
That's because, I'll tell you why, Brian, because when the movie ended, what you did not get out of it was illumination. So,
correct.
Unlike me.
You are correct.
That's right. You are
Speaking
named after
of,
a
by
dog.
the way. No, as a little segue here, what I've been up to, usually we talk about what we've been up to this past week. I saw John Williams perform at the Hollywood Bowl.
Nice.
About a week ago, and that's just one of those moments. You know, a lot of people always say, "Oh, only in LA," and man, talk about an only in LA moment. I mean, I grew up when I was a 5, 6, 7-year-old. I would check out John Williams scores from the library on record and go home and listen to those things. And then now, you know, to be living out here and to be able to go down the street and watch him actually conduct his iconic music was just every year. I try to go every year, and it's just, I still can't get over how cool it is.
Yeah, I hope to join you one of these times.
Absolutely. It's cool because the first half, what he does is he does sort of a tribute. Every year it's been different, but this year it was a tribute to Henry Mancini.
Okay.
And Julie Andrews was there sort of narrating it because, you know, the Blake Edwards connection. And
Right.
You know, he played Pink Panther and Peter Gunn and all these things, and I mean, and then Julie Andrews is up there narrating, and you're like, "Where am I?"
Yeah.
This is crazy. It's so cool. And then the second half of the show, they do an intermission. The second half of the show is, you know, he usually plays one or two sort of random songs of his. I mean, they wouldn't be random to you and I necessarily, but
right.
But he played the theme from Hook, and
nice.
they did this montage on a video screen of flying scenes from cinema, you know, from silent films on till Avatar, and it was really cool. And then he goes and of course does, you know, the Imperial March and Raiders March and all that stuff.
Wow, I'd love to take my kids to see him just because they know all his music.
They know the music, absolutely. Yeah. It's cool. And what he does also is he I've seen this twice now that he's done it. He'll take a scene and he'll strip it of all the music, and then, you know, he'll play it, and then he'll slowly bring the orchestra in and start doing the scene to the screen. And this year it was the opening scene of Raiders with the idol and the Boulder is it's so worth it. I mean, if you're in the Los Angeles area or close to it, so worth a trip. If that sounds really cool to you, it's worth it.
That totally sounds cool. And it's also one of those things where, you want to do it while you can.
Yeah, and it's like you hate to think that way, but it's true. I mean, it's really awesome that he is available like this. I mean, he's actually still out there doing this every year, so it's cool to go out there and enjoy it.
Huh. What else have you been doing? You sound a little fatigued.
Yes, I was actually. I got up this morning at 4:45ish, 4:30 this morning
to prep for the show, of course.
Oh yeah, hardcore, intense preparation for the show, as you'll find over the next 90 minutes or so. But no, my girlfriend was participating in the Nautica Malibu Triathlon.
Wow.
And it was very cool. She did a relay, and she did the bicycle portion of it. She kicked all sorts of butt.
Wow.
And it's just it's funny because I was telling Zaki I feel sort of lucid.
Yeah. And I don't think that word means what you think it means.
And then I've come to realize that I don't. I guess I don't know what lucid means. I thought it meant dreamlike, like lucid, like you're sort of like almost rising above it all and looking down on things and sort of dreamish.
Lucid would mean expressed clearly and easy to understand, which is
what I am not right now.
So you're dreamish.
Dreamish. I think if you were to do a follow-up to John Lennon's Dreamer, you could do dreamish.
Dreamish.
You're like, that seems like something that's like the attitude of people today. Like, yeah, that seems like a good idea if I got time. Dreamish.
I suppose I agree with the concept. I'm not 100% committed, but
dreamish.
Dreamish. by John Lennon, 2013.
Yeah.
That's in an alternate reality. That's kind of sad.
I should throw one more thing out here, and I'm going to be a complete shill. I've been a total shill for this movie, but Now You See Me came out on Blu-ray this past week, and I bring it up again. I worked on this film, so this is me being a shill, but I especially bring it up because the Blu-ray has an extended cut on it, and should you watch said extended cut, there is a scene, I won't, give away any spoilers, but there is a car chase on a bridge, and then there's a news report afterwards. There's a scene that wasn't in the theatrical cut of a news report, and the news reporter is played by yours truly.
Nice.
Yeah. So I should mention I'm not on screen, but some people are watching a news report on television, and I am the news reporter. So it was a super cool surprise to pop that in and find that scene in there.
So what are you saying? What's your big?
Well, I can't really get into it actually because it's sort of a spoiler for the film.
Sort of a
but
okay.
let's say I recap the action sequence that just happened as a news reporter.
Well, it's funny that you say that because my wife's cousin watched it yesterday, and she posted on her Facebook, "Now You See Me, good movie. I liked it."
Hey, that's a ringing endorsement.
And then she added in the comment section, "Except for Brian Hall, he sucked ass." Which that seems hurtful to me, considering
that weighs heavy because I don't want to bring an entire movie down.
Specifically, digital production assistant Brian Hall killed the experience for me. It's very specific, but now I have not seen it yet, and at this point, really, that's just to spite you, to be honest. I haven't really, I really do want to see it. I've pretty much I've contented myself with, okay, it's going to be HBO. So it's like I missed my exit, which would have been theatrical, and Redbox involves me leaving the house, which I tend not to do.
I really it's a perfect rental. It's fun, and it's like it's a romp. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This isn't David Mamet's Heist. You know what I mean? Like it's like a fun, twisty, turny kind of feel good movie. So.
It'll keep you engaged.
It'll keep you engaged. Yeah.
Yeah. So they have a sequel that they're doing.
Yeah. Now You See Me too. Crazy.
Well, I was going to ask, is the sequel going to be Now You Don't?
I know. Well, that was the joke all through production.
Oh, okay.
I mean, we've been making that joke for years now, so it's funny. Yeah, I don't know. It very well may be. Oh, now you see me too. Now you don't. Yeah.
Yeah, that could work. I could see that.
How could you not? It's almost like you have to.
It's laying there, right? I mean, it's you got to play the ball where it lays.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I am looking forward to seeing whether the sequel happens and whether you will miss several more of our shows by virtue of a sequel happening.
Yeah.
And actually, by the way, I realized that at the top of the show we forgot to mention that Sean Coyle is not with us this episode.
Yes.
And I realized that, you ever notice on radio shows where you, like, if a DJ or a co-host is missing and they never mention him, that's like, oh, he must have had like a contract dispute. You know what I mean?
Well, it's funny you bring that up because that is exactly the reason why Sean is not here.
He's no longer part of... No, that's horrible. Of course he is. We're missing
Get
him.
over it, Sean. No, of course. No, it is weird because sometimes, I'll listen to episodes afterwards just to see how poorly I've done. And it's
pretty poorly.
It always does feel weird. Yeah. I say how many times? But no, yeah. But I definitely anytime Sean is not here, he's definitely missed.
Yeah, well, and I want to let everybody else know because I realized that we forgot to mention it at the beginning. So I don't want people to be like, "Oh man, is Sean Coyle like leaving the show now and we don't know about it?" Because I remember that used to happen.
No,
that still happens where it's like you'll be listening to a show and they just never mention John Smith. And
right.
It's because they had a contract dispute and they're just, they went down into the pit of eternity, never to be heard from again.
Yeah.
So Sean is not in the pit of eternity, as far as we know. We will hopefully hear from him in 2 weeks, and he's got a lot to say. So he's got stuff piling up now.
Yeah, but he's involved. I mean, not to be cryptic, can't really talk about what he's doing, but he's up to some exciting stuff. So
he's doing things
it's all for good stuff.
That will blow your mind.
Mm-hmm. Stuff we'll probably talk about the show in the next year or more.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
Exactly. There you go. That's cryptic enough. It's teasing enough, I think.
Yeah.
As we do each and every week, we try to start things off with some listener letters, and we have one here from Garrett, who says, "Hi Zaki, I really enjoyed your Batfleck conversation," as in the Ben Affleck conversation.
Batfleck. That's good.
Well,
have you heard that yet?
I'm pretty sure he's not the first person to have coined that. So,
I guess so. I haven't heard that. That's Garrett. It's new to me. I appreciate that.
Is it really new to you? Are you kidding?
Yeah, I have not seen that.
Yeah, dude. Really, that became the hashtag like the minute this was announced.
See, I'm not on Twitter. That's where all the clever people are. With their clever wordplay.
Yeah, you need to get on Twitter, my friend.
Yeah, I do.
You need to make that happen. Anyway.
Well, I am on Twitter. I just don't use it.
You don't use it. Well, it's the same thing then, right? Actually, in all seriousness, you should use Twitter because Twitter is perfectly suited to your sense of humor.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a non sequitur brand of just funny witticisms that you just kind of drop like a little goat turd and then you move on.
All right. Yeah, maybe I'll give it a shot.
You have goat turd-esque humor, Brian. So you should be proud of that. Anyway, he says, "I really enjoyed your Batfleck conversation. It managed to cover all sides of the issue and address people's concerns without sounding like crazy fanboys about it. I think you managed to walk me off the ledge. I'm still not sold on Ben as Bats, but I'm willing to give it a shot now, which I maybe wasn't before." Garrett. So,
yeah, I think we're probably in the same boat then. I mean, yeah. I thought it was... No, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I was going to say, it's funny how it took like a week for everyone to just calm down. And now we seem to be at a spot where people are chilling out a little bit more.
Yeah.
About it. That there isn't the mass hysteria and, Kool-Aid drinking and, cultish suicides going on that people were promising.
Yeah, well, I think it's almost telling how our conversation went, where we started off, are you kidding me?
Right.
And then by the end, well, I don't know. Let's see. I mean, it seemed like a progression that was happening as we just talked it out. And I think that's still how I feel. I think I still feel, I'm not so sure, but all right, well, we'll see. Give it a shot.
Well, it's happening whether we like it or not.
Right.
And
right.
Now I'm somebody who's like, all right, well, it's funny because I love this stuff. I love the superheroes and all this stuff, but I find it difficult to take it as seriously as a lot of people, even when I'm passionate about it. So the stuff where people are so passionate, like he's completely wrong for Batman, and it's like, guys, we've had so many different Batmen.
Right.
Your wrong is another person's right. So, there are people who swear by Michael Keaton, and there are people who swear by Adam West. So,
Right.
Adam West is just Ben Affleck is just in that continuum,
Yeah.
But actually, connected to that, I read an article just this morning that Josh Brolin actually was somebody who had been reached out to earlier than Affleck about playing Batman.
Right.
And he actually confirmed it. I don't know if you saw this. It never reached a point where an offer was made, but his representatives had been contacted by Zack Snyder about him possibly doing it. And I got to thinking, I wouldn't have minded seeing Josh Brolin as Batman.
I could see it, especially as the older take they said they're going to take.
Right. I also,
me and my wordplay.
I also love this quote that Brolin gave about the pandemonium about when Ben Affleck was cast. He says, "I've never seen such a global reaction in my life. I feel for him, truly. I would not want to be him right now. The reaction becomes so personal. It's like, F this guy. I wish he was dead." And you're like, what? Dude, seriously? This guy's just working like you are. He's doing the same thing you are. He's trying to make the best choices he can. I think that sums it up. Where the internet gets so ridiculous. And by the way, one thing I love about Josh Brolin is his candor. Because the guy just shoots from the hip. He gave a quote where he was talking about Jonah Hex. Which did you ever get to see Jonah Hex?
I haven't.
You really need to. Like it's one of those bad movies that should be watched. just to scratch off the list, But he gave some interview for a movie that he did after Jonah Hex. And obviously Jonah Hex, he did the movie and he has to kind of do the media round robin and whatnot and talking it up. And somebody later for a different movie is like, so all that stuff you were saying about Jonah Hex, that was all bullshit, right? He's like, oh yeah, that movie sucked. Like, he didn't even hide it. He's like, yeah, it was a terrible movie. Yeah, I'm not going to defend it. I said it because I had to say it, but it sucked.
Well, you got to appreciate when they're honest like that. I mean...
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That must be so hard, though, because at the same time, I mean, it's a business, know, and there's a lot of money involved and a lot of people involved, and it would be so difficult to go out on, Conan O'Brien's couch and know you're in a turd.
Right.
And have to go out there and try to sell it. It's almost like you're making yourself disreputable or something.
Right.
You're not being truthful. I mean, I would hate to lie to America and be like, go see Jonah Hex.
But it's like what's worse?
I was in No Country for Old Men. Yeah.
Right. Well, you know what it is? It's a difficult situation because you're beholden to the people that you work with, but and that's your job, right? I mean, promoting the movie. So you find something good to say.
Yeah.
You're like, the costume design was really nice, or it looks really different from any other movie I've done. Like you make it sound like it's not a piece of crap. Well, I mean, I actually found the quote. He was out promoting Wall Street 2.
Okay.
Which also, let's be honest. I mean, that wasn't that great either. Wall Street 2.
I didn't see it.
It says, the question is, and this is via Film Drunk, reassess the Jonah Hex situation for us. Are you proud of the film? And here's Brolin's quote. You mean now that I don't have to promote it? No.
I love Film Drunk.
I know. I mean, he just... You know what
I love they'd even ask that.
Yeah, well, I mean, but when you think about it as a reader, isn't that the kind of question you want answered?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. That's hilarious.
You know what a juxtaposition is, and I think it's appropriate because I was actually just talking about this recently. I recently saw a commercial for like NoDoz or NyQuil, and it's like the sleep aid commercial, and it shows a bunch of people who are having trouble sleeping, and then it shows them after they've taken NyQuil, and they're like sleeping peacefully, and then they wake up, and they're like, and so one of the people, my wife is like, "Is that Katherine Heigl?" And I was literally like, "Yeah, I'm so sure Katherine Heigl is doing some rinky-dink commercial. She's some extra who doesn't have any lines in this commercial." And I Google it, and yeah, it's Katherine Heigl.
Oh, so not in an old commercial.
No, it's like right now.
Huh.
And I was like, wow. So to answer your question about why does somebody like Josh Brolin go out and shovel crap for this movie that he's not proud of? Because the alternative is to be Katherine Heigl.
Yeah.
Right, because Katherine Heigl, she, it's become kind of famous now. She torched Knocked Up very shortly after she was in it. She's like, "Oh, it's misogynistic and it's crap and it's this and that." And then shortly thereafter, she dropped a turd on a goat turd, if you will, on Grey's Anatomy, where she's like, "I haven't submitted."
Didn't know that.
Yeah, she's like, "I haven't submitted myself."
I do remember that.
For Emmy consideration, because they haven't given me something.
She blamed the writers.
She blamed the writers, right? And then shortly thereafter, they cut her loose. And I don't think I have seen an A-list actress drop off the chart as quickly as Katherine Heigl has.
Yeah.
Like she careened from the A-list to below Lindsay Lohan.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny because with Josh Brolin dogging on Jonah Hex, I mean, that feels a little different to me. Sure. I mean, that movie, I think it isn't like the finished product, like just over 70 minutes or something. I mean, it just seems like it was just something that did not turn out right.
Right.
I can't imagine anyone was like, "This is what we were aiming for." It just didn't. And that happens.
Sure.
I mean, making movies is tough. Like, there's so many cooks in the kitchen, and there's so many people you need to please, and there's so many things you try to accomplish, and sometimes it just doesn't happen.
Right.
So at least you can be honest about it afterward. But then there's another thing to dog the people, like you were saying, who are your people.
Right.
The people who are writing for you, and the people. Yeah, it's a little different. A little elitist.
Well, here's the quote from Brolin that I was alluding to earlier. He continues. This says exactly what you're saying. He says, "We had an original intention, and that got away from us a little bit. Everybody did their best to try and create the best movie with what we had, but I think it got so derailed at a certain point that the assemblage of what we could use was so disconnected to what our original intention was that it just got mixed up." And yeah, exactly. And he says, "I think that if you go in there, kind of like with Piranha 3D, when you go to see that movie, you go, 'This is ridiculous and this is fun.' So if you went into Jonah Hex with that, I think you had a good time."
That's funny.
And I got to say, having seen both and paid for both, it was not as good as Piranha 3D, which is not a sentence I tend to utter often, but there it is.
It was. It was not as good as Piranha 3D.
That's just an odd thing to say, but it is true.
Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah, I mean, is she that desperate is my question, because she got paid something like $12 million to do, One for the Money or whatever. And it's like, you should be fine. Like, unless you're eating Fabergé eggs, which is a very specific diet, admittedly. But
and you know what? Maybe she is.
We just don't know. We should understand.
Sue her, yeah.
We don't know. Anyway, moving on. We took a turn a little bit there.
Yeah.
We got some movie headlines to discuss, starting with. It's been a little bit of a slow week, admittedly.
It has been. Yeah.
But this news broke on Friday, and I think it's worthy of discussion. The Terminator reboot that they've been talking about for a while, and we've spent a few episodes discussing it here and there. They keep trying to do a Terminator reboot, and for a while there, Justin Lin was going to be directing it. which
Right.
I
Right.
was enthusiastic about. I was especially after having gotten into the Fast and Furious movies. He left because of commitments to the Fast movies, I guess, although he's not committed to those anymore. But regardless, the director that they have signed to do the Terminator reboot at, well, it doesn't have a distributor yet, but it's Alan Taylor of the Alan Taylor Furniture Collection.
Nice.
That's a callback to a joke that we did in like a previous episode. So I'm just keeping the threads connected. Now, Alan Taylor, of course, is the director of Thor: The Dark World, which I have not seen. You have not seen either, and he's best known as of now for his work on Game of Thrones, which I have not seen, and I believe you have not seen.
Oh, Game of Thrones, yeah. I'm all caught up.
Oh, you are caught up.
Yeah.
Okay, so then you're the guy to ask. Is this a good choice or a bad choice?
I mean, he does really well with Game of Thrones, as far as I can tell. I mean, I'll be honest. When it's a television show, especially that television show, it seems of a piece. I mean, they all are very consistent in their style, but I mean, the show is extremely well done.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's interesting because is he a good director? He seems to be, yeah. But I mean, what is this movie going to be? It seems to be this is going to be a whole separate trilogy, from what I understand. And what does that mean? Does that mean is John Connor still the central character? I mean, is this going to be in modern times with a Terminator coming from the future to the past? Is this going to take place in the future? The Terminator Salvation was sort of about the beginnings of the war. I mean, I'm really curious what this story is going to be. That's
okay. So
more than anything, that's what's going to get me feeling good or not so good about it.
Well, we've talked about this before. That I'm still. I don't know that anybody takes seriously that the Terminator is a property that's worth rebooting, right? It's an IP that people want to see, but it's the bean counters who want to see it. You know what I mean? I don't know that audiences want to see it. Does that make sense?
Well, yes. I'll say this. I'm not clamoring for it.
Yeah.
Because, and being a huge fan of the earlier films, but if there is another good Terminator movie to be made, I would be happy. Sure.
Now, the big selling point is, we've got Arnold Schwarzenegger on board, which, first of all, I think there's a ticking clock on that because I don't know how many years longer he would be able to be on board. But is that a joke to anybody else? You know what I mean? Do people take that? Like, do you say, "Oh, that's awesome," or are you like, "Come on, really"?
Oh, if it had been even just a couple years ago, I would have been, oh, great, cool, okay. But and this isn't me being down on the guy, but he's a lot older,
Yeah.
and I don't know. I don't want to see him in leather and sunglasses acting like a Terminator again. I just don't know that I'd buy that. I mean, how does that stand next to him from 91 or 84?
Right.
It just would feel... I don't know what they have in mind, but it feels like it would feel off.
Right. Yeah, that's the word for it. It's at this point I don't think I don't think he has much value in the brand, and I don't think the brand has much value without him.
Right.
So what do we got? We got nothing. We got Alan Taylor.
Well, it's interesting though. Yeah, but we got Megan Ellison too. Producing it, which has been really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
She's been throwing her money into really interesting movies. Zero Dark 30, whatever, The Master. Paul Thomas Anderson. She's producing American Hustle, David O. Russell's movie coming up. Her, the Spike Jonze movie with Joaquin Phoenix, which looks awesome, by the way.
That looks interesting.
So it's really weird that she's involved with Terminator 5. It makes me curious, definitely.
So you think it'll be a higher caliber of product?
I don't know. I don't know about that. And then again, I mean, she's investing in all these sort of risky movies. So maybe This is her like, okay, I need to make some money so I can keep making risky movies. I don't know. Right. I don't know.
It's one for me, one for them, right? That's the philosophy.
Maybe. Yeah.
Well, and actually, one actor who they've spoken of a lot in connection to the Terminator is, of course, Dwayne Johnson. And I don't know if that's going to happen, but I wouldn't be averse to that necessarily.
No, but I do feel like it would be a bit jarring seeing him in that universe. I mean, because I like The Rock. I don't think anybody doesn't like The Rock, but he's The Rock. Like I think he stands out in anything he's in, and that works to his advantage in a lot of ways. But trying to bring me back into a universe I'm familiar with and throwing The Rock in there just feels like maybe it'd be a little distracting. I don't know.
Wasn't it distracting when Christian Bale was in there? Grunting?
Yeah, it's funny because when he was in that movie, my brother, I remember, leaned over to me and said something like, "Is Christian Bale a good actor?"
Aw.
Yeah.
So sad. That's sad.
Well, it's just like, yeah, but of course, and then we saw the fighter, and we're like, yeah,
yes, he is.
yes, he is. Indeed.
So I'm curious, what prompted that reaction
from my brother?
Yeah,
I think it was just because
about Terminator Salvation.
It was just a lot of yelling, just him kind of looking around and brooding and yelling, and there.
That's him as Batman.
Like Christian Bale, man, Christian Bale. Right. But then it just
credibility.
It didn't amount to a whole lot. But I don't think all that can be put on him either. I mean, remember we've talked about this before, but that his whole role was shoehorned into that story. It wasn't never intended to be in that story, so it was a little tacked on, and I think it suffered.
Yeah, I remember the action figures that they made of Terminator Salvation, which were horrible. They were made by Playmates. And the John Connor figure had like sunglasses and like a thing over his mouth. What do you call that? Like a bandana. Yeah. And it was
like
because
a do-rag or something. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and it was because they hadn't nailed down the likeness rights for Christian Bale.
Cover his face. That's hilarious.
Can you believe that?
So
and I'm just like,
Cobra Commander.
How idiotic do you have to be to get the license and not get the rights for a property like that, especially,
Yeah.
But we're talking about The Rock. It's kind of interesting because, of course, McG directed Terminator Salvation, and he is pretty much the person who single-handedly is to blame by many people anyway for that movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny actually because I remember before the movie came out, it was a lot of McG being like, "Come on. I love this franchise. I'm working my hardest. Let me, trust, believe in me." And I don't know about you, but I was like, you know what? I do believe in you, McG.
I totally had the same experience. Like, get off McG's back, everybody.
And then we watched the movie, and it was just like one of those things where everyone, like, it's the scene in the movie where everyone just starts leaving one at a time without saying anything.
Yeah. Not a mob, just like a turn away and like. Ugh.
Yeah, and then there's just like the one spotlight on McG standing there alone.
Yeah.
Because you see the movie and you're like, you know what? Every fear I had about this film, you confirmed it. So F you, McG. Right?
And then he was all alone and he was like, "The summer wind came blowing in."
So his whole plan to do a trilogy or whatever, that never happened. But he's actually, as it happens, serendipity, he's attached to direct the next project that The Rock is going to be starring in. Now, The Rock's next movie is a movie that I've actually been waiting to hear something about because I think it's a great idea for a movie, and it is The Fall Guy.
Oh, yeah. I thought of you when I saw that.
Yeah. Well, and here's the interesting thing, because we talked before. Now, The Fall Guy, for those of you who don't know, The Fall Guy is a TV show from the 1980s. It starred Lee Majors and he played Colt Seavers, which is this great TV.
That's an awesome name.
TV name. Yeah. He was a Colt Seavers bounty hunter, which with a name like that, you need to be a bounty hunter.
Yeah, or a quarterback.
Or a quarterback. So, and the premise of the show, to be honest, the premise of the show, I think it's a great premise of a show. It's perfect. He's a stuntman by day, bounty hunter by night, and it's called The Fall Guy. it's great. It's like it's like a perfect premise for a show with a title like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's created by this guy Glenn A. Larson, who we've talked about before because he created Manimal and Automan and Knight Rider. And my contention about Glenn Larson is that he would come up with his show's title first.
Yeah.
So somebody would be like, "Hey man, would you mind telling the boss that you did this because I don't want to get in trouble?" And he's like, "Hey man, I'm not gonna be your fall guy." Fall guy. Fall guy. And then he comes because that's all like Automan, right? I think he came up with the idea of that show as he was resting his feet on an ottoman.
That's much better than what I was imagining. I was picturing someone being like, "Dude, you can't park there." And he's like, "Look, man, I'm not going to move my auto, man." That's yours is much better.
I mean, it could have been either way, right? But so his shows tended to be crap because he did like Buck Rogers and the original Battlestar Galactica, which is crap. Fall Guy, I mean, it's not it's not, as you said, it's not David Mamet's Fall Guy, but for what it was, it's one of those great premises that you could easily see them making into a movie. So I'm like, when I hear that they've got Dwayne Johnson, who's going to play a stuntman / bounty hunter, I say, dude, sign me up.
Yeah.
I want to buy my ticket to that movie. And then I hear that McG is directing it, and I'm like, God damn it. So I'm torn here. I don't know what to say. That's just been to me, honestly. Here's and McG takes a lot of grief, and he even says he takes a lot of grief because of his name, which is McG. His real name is Joseph McGinty.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, people give me crap about my name. And I'm like, you know why they give you crap about your name? Because it's a stupid name to have.
Well, I mean, that's just it. I mean, I don't care if that's your nickname.
Right.
But, when you put your name on something, Steven Spielberg could be called like Stevie S. You know what I mean? But he's not going to go by Stevie S.
Right.
He's Steven Spielberg, and if he wants to be Stevie S. Spielberg, that's even a whole other thing altogether. But, I mean, I'm just saying, hey, if that's what you want to go by, that is totally up to you. But, just expect it.
Expect to get piled on. And, it's I mean, it's pretty much, and here's the thing. If you're going to go by a name like that, you can expect the pile on. You had better account for that by making the greatest movies of all time.
Right.
And not Charlie's Angels.
Yeah, I don't know. The first one was fun.
Well,
from what I remember, it was over 10 years ago.
Bear in mind, it was over 10 years ago. Exactly.
Yeah. I'm sure it
starred Drew Barrymore.
Crazy dated. I think I remember it was sort of like The Matrix if it was like a Madonna music video or something.
Well, that right there does nothing.
Or not Madonna, like Spice Girls. Like Spice Girls meets The Matrix or something.
Yes, that makes me not want to even remotely watch it. Again.
Yeah, that was not a ringing endorsement, is it?
Spice Girls meets The Matrix. That sounds horrifying.
Yeah.
But so McG directing The Fall Guy, I don't know. I suppose they say water finds its level, right? So maybe that's pretty much what a movie like The Fall Guy can expect in terms of a director.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know.
Yeah. Remains to be seen.
It remains to be seen. Yeah, I'm sure we'll be talking about it. I'm sure I'll be bringing it up at least. I love The Rock, man. That guy is. I said it before. I'll say it again. He has bags of charisma.
And, yeah.
And he really does make mediocre movies watchable because I sat through Journey 2, which I wouldn't wish on anybody.
Really?
Which part that I wouldn't wish it on anybody?
Oh, you have children. That's right.
Yes. Yeah, and it's funny, man, because I try to guide them towards the better stuff rather than, but they love dinosaurs and all that stuff. So
sure, no, of course.
Occasionally,
it was pretty good. Snitch. Did you see Snitch?
I haven't, but I've heard that. I've heard it was actually kind of a deeper performance by The Rock too.
Yeah. It's not super heavy or I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but it's not as light as you think. Okay. It's actually a pretty decent story, apparently based on a true story, and that was a total surprise. I enjoyed that movie.
Okay. Well, and he was good in Pain and Gain also.
Oh, yeah.
Even though, I mean, we talked about the movie. I think you liked that one more than I did, but... Well,
No, you know,
liked-
no, that is true. I think ultimately I felt a little weird about it, but I did. I think I liked the first half, and then I was put off by the second half, where the second half didn't realize that the first half was supposed to be like a satire.
That's right. Yeah, no.
I was like, wow, this movie's actually pretty smart. Oh, no, it's not.
No, it's not. Whoops, too late.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
you had already like dialed in your recommendation before you realized,
Yeah.
and it was too late
Yeah.
at that point. Now, Pain and Gain was a bit of a disappointment that came out just before the big summer season started, and this summer, which we spent the last several episodes kind of every week, every other week we do kind of the big summer releases, was one of the most packed summers in recent memory.
Yeah.
Where it was just end to end. Every week we had one or two releases. So we had a lot of successes and a lot of flops this summer. Now, given that we started our summer episode off by making our predictions about what would do well, and now that we are officially after summer, this is our first show post Labor Day, which is, of course, now we are into fall. I thought it might be interesting to look at this summer's big hits and big flops and see where they fell in line with our predictions. So I've got a list here, and this is courtesy of Entertainment Weekly here. The big winners. Now, Brian, what would you say was the biggest hit of the summer?
Fast and Furious, maybe?
Fast and Furious was one of the biggest hits, but
Or Iron Man. Iron Man 3. It must have been
Iron Man, that's
3.
right. Iron Man 3,
Yeah.
$200 million budget. It made $408.9 million domestically and $1.21 billion worldwide.
So that's a thing now. Movies make $1 billion.
Isn't that weird? Yeah, that used to be a special thing.
Yeah.
It was
That was
pretty much-
like Titanic, and then nothing will touch that.
Yeah, and then
You know,
Avatar.
And now it's Marvel movies.
Right,
basically.
that's right. Well, I mean, you know that the Superman Batman movie will cross $1 billion.
You think so?
It would have to be the biggest dog turd of all time for it to not cross $1 billion.
Well, so when we did our discussion back in May or whatever it was, I predicted that Man of Steel would do bigger than I thought people were predicting.
Okay.
Because I think everybody thought it was going to be a hit, but I thought it was actually going to really connect with everybody.
Which it didn't.
And I'm not saying it didn't. You're saying it didn't?
It did not connect with everybody.
I see what you're saying. But yeah, and maybe that's a different discussion. But everybody saw it, or no. Most people saw it.
Sure.
I think more people saw it than most people expected. That's kind of what I'm getting at. Like my
Sure.
parents,
Sure.
wanted to see Man of Steel. So
Did
I
they
always
like
use
it,
my
by the way?
parents as a guide. Actually, you know what? They hadn't seen it yet. They just texted me this weekend and asked if it was on DVD. So take that for what it is.
So delete previous comment.
But the fact that they're not going to go see Fantastic Four, you know
Sure.
what I mean? But they'll go see Man of Steel. They'll go see Iron Man. They love the Marvel movies.
Sure.
So, my point is this: so Batman, the last Batman movies, the Nolan movies, those made those were a phenomenon. I think you could call that a phenomenon.
Sure.
So with Man of Steel doing well, but not necessarily Marvel well, if you will.
Right.
Do you think that throwing Batman in the mix is that the key component to $1 billion? I mean, does Batman equal $1 billion now? I mean, is that what you mean?
Well, I mean, look at the last two Batman movies, right?
Yeah.
Didn't
So
Dark Knight
regardless
Rises
of if
cross
it's good
$1
or
billion?
not, there's like residual run over from people's love of the Nolan films.
Here's what I'm going to say. You have a movie called Batman versus Superman, or Batman and Superman, or Batman loves Superman, or whatever, right? You have a title with the words Batman and Superman in it. You have made yourself $600 million.
Yeah.
Just like that, right?
Yeah.
The movie could be, stop motion claymation, but you've made $600
I would see
million.
that.
Yeah, well, exactly, right? Now, assuming it's not a total disaster, you've got $1 billion.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Am I being overly optimistic? I don't think so. I mean, I think, let me put it this way. I think that there would be more, and correct me if I'm wrong. I think there would be more mainstream anticipation for a Batman and Superman movie than there was for example, the Avengers 2 years ago.
I'm with you. I that's what I want to see.
Yeah.
Honestly. Yeah. So.
I mean, who are the superheroes who everybody knows? Batman and Superman.
Yeah.
Right. But to your point, Man of Steel was not the number 1 movie of the summer, nor was it the number 2 movie of the summer. It was actually number 3. It cost $225 million, which I said all along was way too much to be spending on your very first movie. And it made $290.8 million domestically, which actually, when we talked about this, is not great for how much it cost.
Relatively speaking, which I didn't even know that. I would have guessed if you had just asked me to guess off the top of my head. I would have guessed over 300. But,
yeah, well, it opened. Think about this. It opened to 125 million or thereabouts.
That's impressive.
It is.
People were interested.
Exactly. So a lot of people were interested. But what that says, think about it. It barely doubled its opening weekend. Domestically.
Yeah.
So that's not great.
Yeah.
And if I'm Warner Brothers, that's the reason I put Batman in the next one, because that's a worrying sign.
Yeah.
Because you got to spend more for the next one, and there's no guarantee you're going to make more. It made $657.8 million worldwide. So it's, I mean, almost 700. That's nothing to sneeze at. But if I'm Warner Brothers, I have to be a little bit disappointed.
Oh, for sure.
You know?
Well, it seems like Batman is Warner Brothers' Robert Downey Jr. right?
Right.
The Marvel films that make $1 billion have Robert Downey Jr. in them.
Yeah. Well, well put. And it's if I'm DC, I'm worried in general because it shows that the road to their Justice League movie is going to be a little bit more fraught than I think they thought originally. But in between Man of Steel and Iron Man 3, we have Despicable Me 2, which I did not see.
I don't know why I keep thinking Fast and Furious, but that movie really, it did really well. I noticed even this weekend I saw a lot of people with shirts that had the Minions on them.
People
so
love
that's
the
really,
Minions.
They're
going to give the Minions their own movie.
I've not seen the sequel. Yeah, which it totally makes sense, obviously, because that's what everybody seems to be latching on to.
Right.
But I don't know if that would be overkill having a whole movie with them. I have no idea. I don't know.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you take a character that is your favorite sort of sidekick, and then you give the sidekick a movie. Can they hold a whole movie, or does it start to wear itself out?
Puss in Boots.
Yeah, sure.
You know? And I don't even know how well that one did, but that's what they tried to do with that, right?
Yeah. Anyway,
it would be like giving Donkey his own movie from Shrek.
Yeah. You know. Yeah. I don't know. Who knows? But again, I'm not a huge fan, so it's not like.
Yeah,
maybe if you are, it's.
Well, I haven't seen either of the Despicable movies, so I can't even comment on the quality. But I mean, geez, they spent $796 million. They made $356 million just domestically.
Wow.
So that's all upside if you're Universal, and almost $1 billion, $823 million worldwide.
Wow.
So this thing cleaned up.
Who knew, huh?
Jeez. Now the other big success stories, of course, Monsters University, which Sean pegged as the big hit of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And now this is interesting because $264 million it made domestically. It cost almost $200 million. So look at how much Despicable cost. Look at how much this cost.
Yeah. I wonder what that is. I mean, maybe it's production time. I mean, Pixar films take years, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, in a way, you're employing people for years and not a year.
Yeah, that's a good point. But I don't know. Where does that money go?
I enjoyed Monsters University. I mean, I know, like I said, to reiterate what I had said before, I know it wasn't necessary.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't a story that demanded to be told, but it was fun. I don't know. I had a good time with it.
It was better than some of the other kids' movies I saw this summer. So
sure,
that says something.
Yeah.
Now on to your pick, Fast and Furious 6, or Fast 6, or Furious 6. There's like three different titles.
Or FF6.
FF6, which would be Fantastic Four 6, I guess. whenever they get
Could
around to
be.
making that. It cost 160 million to make, 240 million almost domestically, 790 million almost worldwide. And this is the 6th entry of the series, and it's made the most out of all of them.
Has that ever happened before?
I'm trying to think. I mean, I don't think
Where
so.
they just get bigger and bigger and bigger with each one?
Not on this big a scale.
Yeah.
I don't believe.
That's amazing.
That's really something. Well, and it's because, and we've talked about this already on the show, but we're at a point now where the franchise has gotten grandfathered in as legitimate.
Right.
So now it's okay to care about the characters and care about the world and the universe. And I see it with my students. They quote Dominic Toretto.
Really?
Which is incredibly sad, I guess. Really.
Whatever. I'm not, all right.
I mean,
I'm just, it's interesting to me, I guess.
I
I'm
have
not
an
around the
assignment.
youth so much these days, so that's interesting.
Well, and I mean, these are kids. Think about it. If you have kids who are 18, 19, they have literally grown up with this franchise.
That's true.
I mean, it's their thing the way Lethal Weapon and Die Hard was for us.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, looking at it that way, I understand
that. Another big hit for the summer, and this is one that I'm pretty sure all three of us pegged as a big flop, and I think everybody pegged it as a big flop, was World War Z.
Yeah. I mean, there were articles being written about that.
Yeah, they were
like, when World War Z is flops, and here's what we'll take away from that. Right. I mean, it was so people were really yeah.
They had well, you know how, like, when you have an older celebrity, this is true, they have an obituary that's already written.
Yes.
And it's ready to go.
Good analogy.
Yeah. So, because I remember this happened, like a year before Bob Hope died, where somebody accidentally hit send on his obit. And, like, people broke into broadcasts and stuff, and, Bob Hope died, and it was some guy who accidentally hit the wrong button. And then he died, like, 6 months later, and it was just, they just ran the same obit.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what happened with World War Z, is everybody had already pegged it. Oh, yeah, this thing's going to tank. Now, it cost 190, which is still too much, but it made 200 million domestically, which I don't think anybody expected.
Yeah.
And it's made 532 million worldwide.
Yeah. And it was kind of a fun movie.
Yeah, but I stand by what I said earlier. I mean, it's enjoyable but forgettable.
Very, very.
Sure. And to me that's disappointing, because a movie like that, it should really stay with you.
Yeah.
But it actually, World War Z did better at the box office than Paramount's other big movie, which was Star Trek Into Darkness.
Oh, wow. That was one that I pegged to be a bigger movie than it was. Just based on the last one.
Right.
Sort of taking everyone by surprise, and people who had no interest in Star Trek enjoying it and seeing it and liking it. I just thought everybody would be back in droves for this sequel, but that was not the case.
And we talked about this a little bit before. It seems like it suffered from a lot of things, but part of it is the 4-year window. But I've had some time to think about this, and we're recording this like 2 days before it comes out on video. I think that they did themselves a disservice by doing this whole mystery box thing about the big mystery about Khan.
Right.
And I think if they just think about this. There was no doubt who Heath Ledger was playing in The Dark Knight.
Right.
Right? It was, hey guys, 2 years from now, 1 year from now, the Joker is going to be back and he's going to blow your friggin' mind. Right?
Right.
Think about if right from the start they're like, hey, the best Star Trek villain of all time is coming back. We're doing a new version of him. It's going to be awesome. Right? And if they just hyped his performance.
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't know. For me, it's Joker. We know who Joker is. We know what, in some ways, to expect from Joker.
Sure.
So and he's in, the whole movie. We know who he is from the start, and so we're curious to see an interpretation of Joker. And then from the opening moment of that movie, when he takes the mask off, you're like, holy crap.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I get a whole movie with this. Like, let's go. Mm-hmm. But with Khan, I mean, I do agree because the problem was they tried to keep the secret. Everybody already knew what it was.
Right.
And so then when it happened in the middle of the movie, it was like, uh-huh.
Right,
you know
exactly.
what I mean? But if you did say that it was him, on the other hand, going into it and you're expecting like a Khan movie, I mean, the movie like sort of depends on you not being sure of who he is till the middle of the movie.
So,
you know what I mean?
Right.
I'm not saying that's good or bad, but that's sort of... I remember one of the interviews they were saying before it came out, they wanted you to be on the same page as the crew.
Right.
You know,
right,
you don't know who he is, they don't know who he
yeah.
is, and you find it out together. So it's sort of a mixed bag with that. I don't know.
I don't know, whatever. I'm still pissed at those guys for freaking ruining that movie. I'm still angry. I'm like the nerdy Trekker in the minority, but I'm still irked.
Yeah.
But Star Trek. Okay, so Star Trek Into Darkness, same budget as World War Z. It made $228 million domestically, which is more than World War Z. But it made $234 million foreign, so the global total is under 500. Which I mean, again, we're talking about such huge sums of money. This is like let's not kid ourselves. There's going to be a third one. But
so what they should do, in my opinion.
Yeah.
If you're listening, filmmakers, is go make $130 million Star Trek movie.
Yeah, right.
Make something. I don't think it had. Why does it need to be any more than that? Really?
Because explosions and
make
lens
it for a
flares
modest.
cost a lot of money.
Yeah. Well, I mean, make it for a modest, larger, sum of money and reap bigger rewards. I don't know.
See what happens, right? Some of the big flops very quickly. Hangover Part 3, big disappointment.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like you forgot it existed.
Yeah.
If you ask somebody.
Well, Bradley Cooper wishes we could forget it existed, I think.
Yeah. Well, then American Hustle will come out and he'll be like, what ifs? What ifs? I'm working with David O. Russell.
And he's, of course, the Rocket Raccoon. He's the voice of Rocket Raccoon in Guardians of the Galaxy. So he gets to
talk
play
about a wild
cartoon.
card, that movie.
Sean is convinced that's going to be the first big flop from Marvel Studios.
I don't know about a flop, but I don't think it's. I think it's going to be their. What am I trying to say here? I was going to say their Man of Steel, but I don't want to put that all on Superman. But you know what I'm saying? Like it's going to be their. Yeah, Batman did this and da 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 da, and then they put out another one, and it's like, oh, like, I don't.
Yeah.
It's not going to make. My guess, I don't think it's going to make over $500 million.
Well, and I don't think it needs to, right? I think with all these movies, when you think about it, they all benefit from being part of the universe.
That's true, and they shouldn't all have to make $1 billion. I mean, why not make these sort of offshoots of your brand? And these are the smaller films, and these are the bigger films, and then
Yeah, like Ant-Man with the
exactly.
Which you talked about last week. Are you wearing a hood, by the way?
Yeah, I've said this before, but where I record, I'm right under an air conditioner vent.
Oh, okay.
Air conditioning vent, so it gets kind of cold every 10 minutes.
I'm just, for people who are listening, I we're talking via Google Chat, and I look up and I see you wearing a hood, and I was like expecting you to start freestyling. And
yeah. I got to get out of 8 Mile. Yeah.
I was kind of excited. You'd name drop Mekhi Phifer.
Hey man, this is my life. There's no Mekhi Phifer.
Now, did you see Hangover 3? I can't remember.
I did, yeah.
So did we even talk about it?
I feel like we did. My 2-sentence takeaway is I like Hangover. I don't love Hangover. I like Hangover. This movie was completely not necessary, but it was what it was. I mean, if it was on HBO in an afternoon, you could do worse. There's every fourth joke lands.
Yeah.
It's completely unnecessary, but I didn't think it was a disaster. It just is unnecessary.
Yeah. Well, I fell asleep in the middle of it. So
that's right.
I missed a good chunk of it, so I'm not really equipped to talk about it. Now, a huge disappointment this summer is a movie that I loved, and I believe I'm the only one who loved, and that's The Lone Ranger.
Yeah, but that's just it. I mean, there was a lot of hate for that film, and a lot of Schadenfreude or whatever. And I don't feel that. I wanted it to be good. I wanted to like it more than I did. I didn't think it was. I mean, this is what I tell everybody. I say, the movie is about 2.5 hours long,
right?
And there's a great hour and 50-minute movie inside that movie,
right?
It's
like
I know
Quato
it's there
in the middle.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a
if I
Quato
watched it
version
again,
of Lone Ranger that's worth saying.
I don't know how I'd feel about it if I watched it again, but I thought it was fun. I knew it could be tighter and it could be like really solid, and I just felt like it meandered a little bit for me.
Yeah. Well, it cost $215 million, and it didn't even break 100 domestically. It didn't even break 90 domestically.
It didn't. What? I didn't know that.
$88.6 million domestically.
Holy cow!
Yeah, so
Wow.
that's a disaster. That's like if Disney did not own Star Wars, they would probably be a lot more apoplectic about it, I would think.
Wow.
But meanwhile, they've signed Johnny Depp to star in Alice in Wonderland 2. So there is that.
They're praying that has the same.
They're like, this movie with Johnny Depp and whiteface didn't work well. Let's try him in a different one.
Well, wow, he does wear whiteface a lot. But, I don't know. Anyone expected Alice in Wonderland to be the monster hit that it was.
Yeah.
So, can it do that again? I don't know.
One other disappointment I wanted to mention, I found this somewhat surprising, is Elysium.
Yeah, which I have not seen.
Oh, okay.
So I can't really comment on it, but I'm surprised and sad to hear those responses.
Yeah, that was a big disappointment in terms of how much it cost, because it I think after District 9, everyone was kind of expecting the world from Neil Blomkamp, and I personally felt like he delivered something very substantive and interesting, but it made $178 million against a $115 million budget, so that's not great.
Yeah.
That's kind of sad.
And for District 9 doing as well as it did, and then this film having Matt Damon,
right?
You would expect something exponentially a little bit bigger, but
yeah,
I don't know.
It was not.
I'm still looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts. Yeah, see what I did there,
dude. That's totally going to be the headline, dude. Do it now. Write that down for when he revisits the Bourne franchise. Born Again. Matt Damon is Born Again.
If they don't call that movie that title, then they're idiots. Right? I mean, if that were to happen, either that or Reborn.
Reborn, yeah. I imagine that's how the title would go.
Yeah.
But I think the headline should be Matt Damon is Born Again.
Other huge flops, After Earth, which I took an inordinate amount of joy in that movie tanking.
Yeah. What was that last movie he did? Last Airbender.
Yes.
I had heard that movie is so not so great that I put it in my Netflix queue just so I could watch it for that reason.
And did you watch it?
And I've never gotten around to it, and so I felt the same way about After Earth. I was like, well, I got to see it for that reason, but I probably won't. So
I'm very curious to hear what you think of both of those movies, because they really are quite bad.
If I could watch them side by side and fast forward, sort of like in double speed, I would do that.
If you could, like a computer, just like take in the information at super speed, so you have it in your memory banks, but you haven't
like
spent
Johnny
the time.
5. If I could input.
I'm curious how many episodes we've woven Johnny 5 references into, because I think that's the true mark of film geekery, because I've actually, in the past few weeks, I've gone back and listened to a few episodes, and we manage like a solid Johnny 5 ref like every other episode or so.
Really?
And I'm like, that's impressive. Right. And it's from you.
That'll be like our Superman from Seinfeld.
Yeah, it's just in the background,
Input.
R.I.P.D. cost $130 million. $130 million to make. Didn't even make $65 million worldwide.
Wow.
So is it? Can we stick a fork in Rai Ray? We talked about this a few weeks ago.
I'll say this: not everyone is meant to be a leading man, and that's not even like a slam. You know what I mean? Some people are just good at what they do, so he just needs to be in like ensemble pictures.
I totally agree with that.
Yeah,
I
this is coming from someone who likes him. So I mean, just know your strengths and like go out there and do those to like the fullest, and I think that's what you should do.
From people who don't like him, it's F that guy.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So that's the range.
Yeah.
Now in the toss-up category is Pacific Rim, which seems like a lot of people liked way more than I did. Because I like it less the more I think about it.
I will be honest. I might be with you on that. That doesn't mean I dislike it. But when I walked out of it, I was like, wow, I like that a lot better than I expected.
Yeah.
But then as I think about it and I try to recommend it, or if I'm choosing to recommend it to people, I'm like, well, yeah, it's okay.
Well, what's funny is, the chatter online is like, I hope it does enough to justify a sequel. Like that's, the people who liked it are hoping that. And, we talk about this a lot. I'm kind of like, why is every conversation about a film couched that way now? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we're never like, man, that was really good. It's...
Right.
We can't just... It's like, look, man, I liked The Lone Ranger. If I never see a sequel to it, which of course I won't, I'm fine with that because it's, the movie's fine,
Right.
And I don't think Pacific Rim is screaming for a sequel.
No.
And yet, because I've had this conversation with a few people. Like, people are very angry. It was way better than Man of Steel, okay? I'm like, I don't think it's better than Man of Steel. I think Man of Steel is better, and part of the reason that Pacific Rim, by the way, was not very good was because of its leading actor, who is, in my opinion, the worst leading actor I have ever seen in a big budget movie. Charlie,
which is
Charlie
really
Hunnam.
interesting because he's Sons of Anarchy, which people love. I don't watch that show, but
not only is he on Sons of Anarchy, and this is something that I've specifically been asked to mention, he's also been cast as Christian Grey in the big screen adaptation of Shades of Grey, which is that S&M fanfic novel.
Mommy porn.
Well, you know how that started? It started as, this is true, Twilight fanfic.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Did you know? Yeah, it was.
I heard that somewhere.
Yeah,
independent of me. Being
like,
aware.
I read that. I remember that when it was. Yeah, it was like Edward and Bella, and then the author got good like responses to the story, so she changed the names, and instead of vampirism, she made it about S&M, and suddenly she's a millionaire.
Yeah.
This is the kind of story that makes me hate life.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I always try to keep the attitude like, good for them. But at the same time, you think about all the people who've written like probably amazing works we'll never read.
Yes. Yes. Instead, E.L. James got, a nice Hollywood payout for. Ugh, so depressing.
And yet, where is Short Circuit 3?
I ask you.
You hear me, Hollywood?
Damn it! Where's Johnny 5000? We should have had several more iterations of him by now.
I'm afraid he'd be like Poochie now if they tried to do Johnny 5 again.
Now, there's a reference that
he'd surf and
you know that's what would happen. Like, you don't even need to say it. It's like, yeah, of course. That's like the assumption. And he'd be saying, like, way cool, man.
That'd be a cool title. Short Circuit 3, The Assumption. Moving on. I'm sorry. I'm slowing us down.
The Assumption.
You know what I'm talking about.
Anyway, Brian is not lucid. We already established that.
No. I'm dreamish, though.
Dreamish. He is dreamish. So yes, Charlie Hunnam will be playing Christian Grey. So
So there you go, ladies.
Care. Yeah, I specifically got an email asking us to mention that, so consider it mentioned. Like, I don't even have anything to say about it. It just makes me sad and hateful. So so thank you for that. Let's talk some trailers though. Now I was I went and watched Riddick a couple days ago, and we'll talk about that later in the show. But they showed two trailers in front of Riddick. One of them was Robocop, and the other one was Gravity. So I got to see two Batman. I got to see Michael Keaton and George Clooney back to back.
Well, which one do you want to start with?
Why don't we start with Robocop?
We had something we were going to talk about. Okay.
We'll start with Robocop. Let's play some of the audio from the reboot of Robocop.
We're gonna put a man inside a machine.
He's suffered fourth-degree burns over 80% of his body. If he survives, he'll be paralyzed from the waist down, confined to a wheelchair.
You say you can save him, but what does that mean? What kind of life will he have?
What kind of suit is this?
It's not a suit. It's you.
What the hell did you do to me?
Make him more tactical. Make him look, let's go with black.
When the machine fights, the system releases signals into Alex's brain, making him think he's in control. But he's not. It's the illusion of free will.
Okay, so this is the 2014 reboot of Robocop. It's directed by Jose Padilla, who directed Elite Force and Elite Force 2, and he's a Brazilian filmmaker. And this is a film that promises to reinvent the mythology of Alex Murphy from the ground up. So it ignores the awesome first movie and the craptastic everything else that came after the first movie.
Yeah.
To do something new and or different. I don't know if it's better. Brian, what did you think of the Robocop trailer? I'm actually very curious because I've not had a chance to even discuss it with you.
It had a very good look to it. I think, people were sort of critical of the suit when we were seeing all those leaked set pictures, and then sure enough, the first thing we see is yeah. I mean, it looked a lot like the Batman outfit. I think. Yeah. It's not my thought. I mean, that's not original.
If Iron Man and Batman had a kid, I think that's what people have said online.
Yeah.
That's not original.
But no, I thought the suit looked fine. And then it looks like they do like a update of it somewhere in the middle of the film, which I thought looked fine too.
Yeah.
I did not grow up with this movie necessarily like you did. I remember it sort of, and then it was pretty much reintroduced to me by you.
Okay.
Maybe about 5-6 years ago.
That sounds about
And
right.
I really dig it. I think I'm talking about the original now. I think it's a really, especially as an adult, seeing it for the satire that it is.
Right.
Which I think a lot of people don't even realize if they haven't seen it in a long time. I mean, it's very cynical and silly almost, but it's still also a pretty great story. I mean, it's a really great character. And I think it's interesting that in this movie, in the original, he is a machine who is becoming aware that he was once a man. But in this reimagining of it, it seems that he is literally half man, half machine. Yeah. And he's a man dealing with the fact that he's half machine.
Yeah,
which I thought was interesting.
You just nailed it. I think that's the interesting part is he's a man who's realizing that he's more machine than he thought.
Yeah.
And so it's that question because in the original film he is dead. He is an ex person. He is toast. We see him shot to 500 pieces by 500 bullets. Screaming agony. Now, and by the way, it's very funny to me that you said I didn't grow up with this movie like you did. No child should grow up with this movie.
Yeah. Well, it was originally rated NC-17, wasn't it? Or X or whatever.
It was the original cut was rated X, and they had to recut it, which involved about 2 or 3 frames of Peter Weller's guts hanging out and whatnot being cut out. It's I've told this story before on this show, but it's been a while. I saw this movie. I bought the VHS tape for my 8th birthday. And my parents were like, "Oh, Robocop, okay." And they went into the other room while I sat and watched Robocop, and saw my innocence lost in a hail of machine gun fire.
And coke being snorted off of women's breasts. And
oh yeah, the whole thing.
people getting hit by cars who are melting by acid.
In their heads detaching and rolling over. I mean, this is within the first 15 minutes, you see Peter Weller not just killed in action, he is shot to pieces, screaming horribly. And I remember being a kid and being like, "Oh my God, what is happening?" You know, it's horrible. And then you see the doctors trying to defibrillate his corpse as his lifeless eyes are glassy. I mean, it's this stuff stays with you. And yet I loved the movie, and they had a
well, what's not to
book.
like?
Oh yeah, of course. After that, that's the funny thing, man. I mean, because my oldest is 6, so in other words, I was 2 years older than him, and
right.
I could not dream of letting him watch a movie like this at 8 years old or 10 years old, even. Like I don't know, different times, but. It became this huge franchise. There was a cartoon show, there was action figures, there was a comic book. They made 2 sequels. It became a thing, but nothing that came after the first one retained what you said, that aspect of black comedy, that sense of the fact that this was Paul Verhoeven, a German, critiquing American culture from the outside.
Right.
And my hope is that this will have more of that by virtue of the fact that it's Jose Padilla giving an outsider's perspective on what he perceives as American culture.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. I mean, I don't even know if I should bring this up. I mean, it's in the trailer, so this is all speculation. This is not spoiler. I have not seen the film. But it almost feels like, and I've noticed other people talking about it, it almost feels like you could figure out the whole movie from the trailer.
Yep. Oh, totally.
Because in the first film, he's gunned down by bad guys. Like you said, he's dead. And they're like, well, we got this dead cop, and we got this idea. And so they turn him into a machine. Right. But in this film, he is killed by what looks like a car explosion.
Right.
Which is no accident. It looks like something that was set up.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you see Michael Keaton playing this sort of Weasley guy who seems to be behind the program, and you start to wonder if possibly he was set up to be this experiment. Correct. Maybe the twist will be that Michael Keaton set the car explosion for one reason or another. And so, I mean, I don't know. Again, I'm speculating, but it seems like the trailer leads you to that.
Right. And here they've got Gary Oldman in there as the guy who programmed him, and then they've got Michael Keaton playing the head of the corporation. Yeah. Who, in the original films, I don't know if you remember this, in the original films, the head of the corporation is called the Old Man. And I'm like, how do you have Oldman not playing Old Man? Like,
that's funny.
Because when you think about it, you could just as easily swap their roles. You could see Keaton as the programmer and Oldman as the Weasley corporate guy.
Funny enough, I again haven't seen the movie, but that seems to make more sense to me. Doesn't it? Gary Oldman is like I
can totally
the
see
program cannot fail.
Yeah. So do you want to see it, or are you just kind of like, eh?
I haven't marked it on the calendar, but at the same time, depending on when it comes out and what's going on, what it's up against, I'm curious, definitely.
Yeah, curious.
What's going on around it, I think will influence how quickly
it comes out like February 7th, so nothing.
Well, there you go. So I'll probably be seeing it.
and this is, by the way, another MGM movie, and we've established before that MGM is desperately on the hunt for any IP that it can revive because it has nothing else. So
Poltergeist remake.
They got the Poltergeist remake coming up. Yeah, that's right. Which I know you're thrilled about, Brian. Take that as a maybe. That has Jared Harris, I believe, is going to be.
Playing the whatever. What's that role? I can't remember the name of the person, but the Zelda Rubinstein's role.
Well, and I like Jared Harris. So
the woman. This house is clean. Basically, he'll get to say this house is clean this time.
Other trailers for this week. Now, okay. So when we were planning the show out, we were like, all right. Should we talk about the Gravity trailer? And we were both like, you know what? We should like avoid watching the Gravity trailer and talk about how we're not going to watch it. I was like, right on. And then 2 days ago, I was paying to see a movie, and they started playing the Gravity trailer. And I was like, crap.
Well,
so
we
like,
had talked about how, or I won't pin this on everybody, but I was saying like movies just are, it's getting more and more difficult to excite me or to, I don't know, to give me something I haven't seen before. And I felt like with Gravity, and Paul had brought this up, I think based on footage he had seen at Comic-Con, and he was just saying, wait for Gravity. Like, just wait. That's the movie you're talking about that you want. And so I saw, did I watch the first trailer? I think I did. And I was like, oh, okay, I believe you. And I've had opportunities to read it, and I'm like, you know what? I don't know if I want to. And then this second trailer came out, and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to watch it. And Zach and I had this conversation. No, I'm not going to watch it. Yeah, like, I'm just going to go into this thing as fresh as possible. And then I'm just finding out right now that Zaki saw the trailer.
Well, you know what's funny is it started playing, and I was like, oh crap, what do I do? And I didn't know what to do. So I was like, should I just close my eyes? And I was like, well, if I close my eyes, then I'll just hear it. And I was like weighing my options about what's better, what's worse. So I was like, I guess I'll just watch it.
Might as well, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what'd you think? All right, so since you were once like me, what do you think, having watched it? I mean, do you regret watching it? Did you need to be even sold more? I mean, did it sell you even more?
In answer to the second question, I didn't need to be sold anymore.
Yeah.
Because they had me with the first trailer, and in fact, I was thinking like they should have just done that as the like that should have been the only trailer.
Right.
Because people are going to watch that, and it's going to scare the crap out of them. And it'll put butts in seats.
Right.
So I would absolutely say this new one didn't really add anything in the sense that it didn't make me more excited because I was already pretty interested in checking it out. But it does a good job of conveying the terror of what Sandra Bullock is going through without conveying how we reach that point. So in that sense, it's almost the opposite of the breaking of the Robocop trailer.
Right.
Sorry, I just saw a headline about Breaking Bad, and I was like, oh, I need to avoid that. I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I definitely. That's why I'm actually saying let's not even play any audio from it. Let's just let people experience it, and then we can discuss it, after it comes out.
Yeah, well, I'll to piggyback a little bit, the Captain Phillips trailer, that Paul Greengrass, Tom Hanks movie about the pirates taking over the boat. Yep. When I saw the first trailer, I was hooked 30 seconds in, and I remember it built to this moment where they're like, "Don't let the ladder get on the boat," and then the ladder hooks on the boat, and I was ready to end. I was like, "Got it."
Yeah,
but then it's like they showed more and more and more, and I was like, I don't know if I want to see this. Like, you have me. I don't want to know what else happens. So when I saw, we'll talk about it later, but I saw Blue Jasmine, there was a second trailer for Captain Phillips, and it showed so much more. And I was like, no, stop. Like, I mean, we're not talking about the trailer, so I won't bring that stuff up. But
yeah,
I didn't want to know how far it went and the things that happened, and it,
right.
So,
this is just a problem with film today. I mean, just to circle back around to RoboCop, there's a line in the trailer where they're like, he's rewriting his programming, and telling the machine what to do. And I'm like, what the hell is wrong with you guys? You don't need that. It's so odd to me because it's the whole point of trailers is to tease you into wanting to know what happens, but it's almost like they worry that if you don't know exactly what's going to happen, then you won't risk going to see the movie.
Right.
I don't get it, is my point. And speaking of not getting it, let's talk about one more trailer this week, and that is Bad Grandpa.
Bad. Oh, okay.
So, did you have a chance to see this trailer?
I have, yeah. I've seen it a couple times, actually, in the theater.
Okay, so Brian, I want you to explain Bad Grandpa to me.
Have you seen any of the Jackass films?
I have not.
Ah, well, there you go. This is a character that Johnny Knoxville plays, and usually he goes out there and does inappropriate things as this old man, sort of to see how people will respond. I mean, will they treat an old man differently who's doing things that he shouldn't be doing? So it looks like what this is, as far as I can tell, it looks like a Borat-style movie where they take this character and they've sort of crafted a narrative for him, but at the same time, let this play out in front of regular Joes to see how they respond to what's happening.
Okay.
And I'll admit, I read that this was happening, and I was like, what, really? Okay. And then I even saw there was like a screening that I could have gone to a couple weeks ago of it. And I was like, yeah, okay. And then the trailer came out. Then the trailer came out, and I was like, oh, that looks pretty funny.
It does look funny. It absolutely does.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that whole setup, that it was real people.
Yeah.
And that they had a narrative that they strung. I was actually on board with the trailer until the very end, when he has like a 6-year-old or younger kid doing a stripper dance.
Right.
That's when I was like, I think this is inappropriate.
You know what? It's funny you say that, because that's sort of the devil and the angel on my shoulder. Like, part of me, I'll admit, I totally laughed at it, because to me, I can't stand those shows, the Toddlers and Tiaras and all that crap that's on the Learning Channel, of all things. Right. And I find it, I don't even understand how you could be a cameraman on that show and like encourage these people, and I just think it's such a horrible thing. And so for me, I thought it was really funny, a satirical take on that, but alternately, you are actually taking a 7-year-old or 8-year-old or whatever it is and making him do that.
That was my issue.
Yeah, I mean, who knows how old that kid is? I mean, he could be 13 for all we know, and maybe a little bit. I mean, not that makes it much better, but you know what I mean? Like, he may be older than he's portraying. Right. But at the same, yeah, I see what you're saying. I've seen it a couple times with an audience, and every time the audience loses it. With that trailer, gets a really great response.
So it's probably going to end up doing pretty well.
Yeah, well, it'll be interesting, because I think what was funny about Borat was sort of a look at American culture.
Right.
And I don't know that it had anything super important to say, but it did try to say something.
Sure.
And I found that movie, actually, the more that I see it, I still laugh at it, but I find it more manipulative the more I look at it. But this movie, I don't know that it'll have anything to say at all. I think it's just going to be sort of a prank movie.
Right.
That tries to have a story.
So that's Johnny Knoxville as the old man.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow. I thought it was Gary Oldman as the old man, so I was shocked. All right, so moving on, we both of us got a chance to talk to some filmmakers, and now you had a chance to see Una Noche.
Yes, written and directed by Lucy Malloy. This is a debut feature, and this was a really interesting movie. In a nutshell, it's almost a hard movie to sum up, because it's kind of a slice of life movie. It covers if I remember correctly, it only covers one day, but it's a very, life in Cuba, I guess is what you could say about it. And in a nutshell, it's about these 3 teenagers in Cuba who are looking to, for different reasons, cross the 90 miles of ocean to get to Miami.
Okay.
They each have their different reasons. And, one's sort of in trouble with the law, and one just wants to sort of escape this life, and one is attached to the other person. And that's just it. It takes you into another part of the world that I'll speaking for myself, I am completely unfamiliar with. And it's an interesting movie because, it isn't like Slumdog Millionaire.
Okay.
Where Slumdog Millionaire did show you another, it was another world and bring you into another part of this world that you're not familiar with necessarily. But that one felt more Hollywood in a way to me.
Okay.
I haven't seen it since it came out, but I remember thinking like it had a very standard structure to it. And this movie is a bit more loose. and also a lot more bleak. It's very frank. It's very sexually frank. It's very, frank in every way. And that's not a dissuasive point. I think it's honest. It tries to be very honest.
Okay.
And it's a pretty gritty movie. But in talking to the director, she lived there for several years, and she really got to absorb sort of the culture and the things that were going on there. And it just made me think. I watched it maybe about 2 weeks ago, and I just finished watching all these movies where the heroes could all fly. Mm-hmm. It seems like every movie I watched, the hero could fly. And thinking back to this morning, I was at that triathlon, and I was thinking like, oh man, this morning, like my cell reception is terrible, and it's killing my iPhone battery.
Right.
Can things get any worse?
First world problems.
Yeah, and then this movie affirmed to me, yes.
Yeah, in fact, they can.
They can. I mean, and it follows these people that are just living in abject poverty, and HIV is just like, on the loose, and there's brutal law enforcement. And it's funny because I don't think about visiting Cuba. Like that's never even like occurred to me. And the movie covers tourists going there, and you'll see these like really white British people, and this guy comes up and is trying to sell them cigars. And in my head, immediately, I was like, oh, right, Cuban cigars. I mean, that's how people bring them back or whatever. And then eventually law enforcement grabs this guy immediately and drags him to an alley and kicks the crap out of him.
Wow.
And it's like, you do not mess with tourists. And it was just like, whoa. Like, I don't know. It paints like a really vivid picture of this place, and it throws these three protagonists amidst this world, and they each have these reasons for wanting to leave, and so they decide what they're going to do is they're going to build this raft.
Okay.
And they're going to sail the 90 miles. And what I thought was really interesting about it is, I mean, the raft, I'm not saying I could do much better, but it's not a very good raft. And you're like, they're never going to make it.
Sure.
And this is, a very low-budget film. And when they're on this raft, and I won't go into how that goes necessarily, but it's filmed very dark. And that comes from a lack of budget. They're not able to rent the tank at Paramount and get all these lights. Right. But at the same time, I mean, it really added to it. Like, I could hardly see the actors. And you're like, well, that's what it would be like on a raft for 90 miles in the ocean when you have no idea where you are. It's freaking terrifying.
Right.
And so anyway, yeah, I think people should know, again, this isn't Slumdog Millionaire. I mean, this isn't going to, like, necessarily lift your spirits. I mean, it tries to be very honest. And but at the same time, I appreciated it for that reason. Wow. And so yeah, I was able to speak to the writer director Lucy Malloy, and we can play a couple of snippets of that here for a moment.
Yeah, let's go ahead.
I guess my first question would be, what was the genesis of this movie?
Well, I went to Cuba for the first time around 10 years ago, and I guess that when I first arrived there, I had quite a simple image of the place. I had quite a superficial understanding of what it was like, and it wasn't until I learned Spanish that I started to get a little more of a grip of the reality and day-to-day life for people in Havana.
Did you always have the idea that this was going to be a feature that you wanted to make, turn into a story, or is this just something that just happened, in the course of your adventures, and then being a filmmaker, you decided at one point that you wanted to make this into a movie?
Right. So initially, I went out there for almost a year, and then I went to film school, and every summer I was coming back. In film school for 3 years, and every summer I was coming back to Havana. And I actually traveled around the whole of Cuba. Mm-hmm. And basically, I had to do a short film for my thesis for MCU. And I wanted to make a story in Cuba, and I wanted to do a story about young people in that situation of leaving, like teenagers actually making the choice to leave. And so it started as a short film, but then that 10-page script turned into 110 pages once I went there and started talking to people and casting and location scouting.
Right. And then these actors were all or none of them were professional actors, right? Can you talk about the process of finding the actors for this?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the actors weren't professional. Basically, I initially started looking at professional actors, like kids who'd been on TV and kids who'd gone through kind of theatre school. But the acting was very big and was very kind of theatrical, and so I wanted something much more subtle and much more delicate in the performances. So I decided that we should do an open casting, and so we hit the streets of Havana and basically gave out flyers all over the city to every young person that we met, and people spoke to their brothers and sisters and cousins and friends, and we had these huge casting auditions, and people would come in and there would be lines of people down the entire street, and I would interview everybody and kind of have people do little improvisations and just see who had a kind of natural flair for it.
Yeah.
And then with Anna Lynn, the character that plays Leela, she was on the beach with her family, and I had actually been practicing Taekwondo in Cuba myself for that year that I was living there. So I really wanted to have a Taekwondo artist because that was part of the character, and I wanted the girl to be very kind of independent and strong-minded. And when Anna Lynn came in, she actually majored in Taekwondo in school, so that was pretty
yeah, fortuitous.
weird coincidence, you know. So she was also very striking and had this very natural presence.
And I want to ask you about directing, since directing is so spontaneous and there's so many hundreds and hundreds of elements constantly at play every day. I was wondering if you could share an example of some crazy moment while, filming in Cuba, something that you couldn't have planned for, that happened while you're filming where I'm sure there aren't unions cracking down on you.
Well, there is a story that really made an impression on me. It's basically when we were on the beach and we were shooting a scene with the raft.
Mm-hmm.
But we were right on the shore, and it was a very small crew. It was kind of after the main shoot, and it was just pickups. We were doing close-ups, and I looked up from the camera, and I saw that we were surrounded by around 20 soldiers dressed in green, with guns pointing at us, with AKs pointing at us, and I just put my hands up in the air. Everybody was just, very slow moving. It was very scary, and they thought someone had tipped them off that we were actually leaving on the raft that was gone. So we were actually using that raft to leave the island, and they had come because they thought we were trying to escape. And our producers were amazing and spoke to them and explained, no, it's a prop, and this is a movie, and we're not actually trying to go anywhere. And so,
oh my goodness,
thanks to some smart producers,
yeah.
They clarified the situation and they left us alone. But it was a pretty nerve-wracking moment.
For everyone interested in checking out Una Noche, I believe it's currently playing in New York, but it's opening in Los Angeles September 13th. So you can check it out there. And if you don't happen to live in those two cities, you can see it. It's on iTunes. It's available on iTunes right now, so you can check it out there as well. So, yeah, I mean, she had a lot of really interesting things to say. And if people want to hear the rest of that, the entire conversation, and we're going to link to that in our post. Mm-hmm. For this episode, so
yeah. Well, I mean, I'm very curious to check out the film itself. Just from what you're talking about, it's nice to hear about new independent voices. And last time I mentioned how I had a chance to speak to the filmmakers behind Short Term 12, which is a great new indie film that's playing in limited release right now. It stars Brie Larson and Destin Cretton, it stars Brie Larson. It's directed by and written by Destin Cretton, and it I had a chance to speak with them as well. So just a heads up on the film. I talked about this last time. It's about the daily travails of what happens to people who work in the foster care system. So they're dealing with kids who come in, and they're called short-term 12 because the idea is they're supposed to be there for 12 weeks and then they're cycled out. But a lot of them stay longer and they form attachments, and it's got to be hard. It's got to be heartbreaking. So Destin Cretton actually wrote this film from his own experiences. His first job out of college, this is what he did. And it was something that was extremely difficult to do, and he ended up learning a lot, good things, bad things about this process, and so he sort of immortalized it in film. So let's play my interview, some snippets of my interview with them as well. This is like dual interview time, interview off, if you will. Let's go ahead and play some of that.
Well, so I was drained by the end of the film because I felt like I'd been up and down this enormous roller coaster. Such a cliche, I don't want to say it, but it did feel like that. And I know from the notes the story spun from your own personal experience, and I know the story a little bit, but I was wondering for our audience if you could elucidate how your own real life experiences led to this film happening.
Sure. Elucidate. That's a great one.
That's one of my good ones.
We're going to use that now.
That's
Gotta
all
get that in today.
It goes downhill from there. The vocabulary.
It was my first job out of college, and I stumbled into this job because it was really the only thing that I could find that was full time and offered health insurance, which I needed at the time, and I didn't know what I was getting into, and I walked into the walls of this place, and it kind of smacked me in the face, and it very quickly held a mirror up to me and showed me very clearly how naive my perception of the world was up until that point, and it introduced me to things that I thought I knew about, because I had heard about the world of foster kids and foster parenting, and I've heard about abuse, and I've learned about it in college, but that living there and talking to these kids and reading their backstories was the first time that it felt so real, and I could feel, my stomach tightening. So this movie was in a way a way for me to organize those thoughts, and it's in some ways kind of like a journal for me, and it's a way of figuring out some of these questions and figuring out other ways to ask them.
And Bree, what drew you to the subject matter? I mean, it's very intense.
Mm-hmm.
Did you feel intimidated by embodying a character who represents such? I mean, it's really a rich emotional arc.
Yeah. I don't know if I didn't feel intimidated. I felt very driven. I felt afraid that I wasn't going to get the opportunity to do play this part that I wanted to play. And then I felt like it was, with that responsibility, it was my job to do right by these people. So that was kind of all I was really focused on. And the script was really interesting to me because it had an incredible balance of a really good structure that would support me because it was a well-written script, but then it also kind of hinged on this other world, which was Grace's internal world. That was a really interesting and exciting opportunity. It's like the best of both worlds for an actor, to feel like you get to do something that's already really good, and then there's just this whole other world that you get to go into that I've always been interested in the secrets of any character that I play, and so it was interesting that I felt this movie had so much of that, of the things that, more about the things that we don't reveal than the things that we do reveal.
I think, in general, what I hope that this movie does is, I hope it allows people to have just one more excuse to talk about this subject more, and to talk about the system, and which has some incredibly beautiful parts to it, and has a lot of parts to it that can definitely improve. And I hope that this movie allows other people who know so much more about this subject and are experts in this subject and are already fighting for certain things and certain changes. And I hope it allows them to have one more reason to talk about it.
And Bree, last question. They're doing a sequel to 21 Jump Street. Are you part of that? Oh,
no.
Disappointed to hear that.
Well, they can't infiltrate the same school twice. You know, it just doesn't go that way.
That's true. Very true.
I don't live on 22 Jump Street.
Will you be back on Community?
I don't know. That's not my. I don't know.
I hope
no idea. I hope so. I hope so. I loved being there. It was like that was the first thing I did after short term, and it was so nice. I felt like it was
a big
like
switch.
Well, it's like the difference between like hosting a dinner and getting to be a guest at a family's dinner.
Oh, nice.
You know,
awesome.
It was nice.
So do check both of those films out, Una Noche and Short Term 12. They may be a little bit harder to find, but they will be worth it. They will be worth your time. Now, Brian, you also got a chance to see Blue Jasmine.
I did, yes.
And she is not
Woody
a stripper.
Allen's... No. I can't believe that never occurred to me. The title.
I'm sad that
Woody
right
movie.
away occurred to me. That's I don't know what that says about me.
Well, with Blue Jasmine, I hadn't even seen a trailer for this movie, but I had hung out with a few people that were recommending it to me. You got to see this. This is great. Cate Blanchett's going to win an Oscar.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, all right, sure. So I had an opportunity to go catch a movie, and again, I've been seeing a lot of movies where everyone can fly, and I was ready to go see like a really, something different and a really solid story. And I have to say, this is it.
Wow, okay.
I really, really love this movie.
Why?
It's so difficult. A lot of people told me that people are comparing this movie to another story, and they're not sharing what that story is because they don't want to give it away. Okay. And I guess I won't do the same, which is interesting. So look that up after you see it. And also, people didn't want to tell me where it heads, where the story heads, which again is fair. I think what we were just saying about the trailer is like you don't want to know too much about a film. So I did watch the trailer just to sort of get a gauge of how much I should talk about. And so I'll say this. It's about Cate Blanchett, and she's married to Alec Baldwin, and they live a life of privilege. And then, through circumstances, lose all their money. Mm-hmm. So Cate Blanchett goes to live with her sister, who's played by Sally Hawkins, who is not rich by any means, and they're adopted sisters. So, which I thought was a really interesting detail, because if they were actually blood sisters, there would almost be this, blood is thicker than water sort of connection with them.
Right.
But at the same, and even though they do clearly care about each other, they don't have that. And I thought it was such an awesome nuance that really played throughout the film, I thought, with their relationship. But anyway, so she goes to live with this sister who doesn't have as much money and has these kids who are really noisy and lives in a small apartment. And she's got this boyfriend who's kind of a blue-collar guy who and it's about her actually having to live without things being handed to her for the first time. Okay. But on top of that, again, the trailer alludes to this, she's slowly starting to lose her mind. And what's interesting is, it's really easy to see someone that you don't like and to judge them. And I mean, just in real life. And I think this movie does a really good job of taking someone that you would completely judge in real life and hate. And you would completely side with the poorer sister.
Sure.
And think that her, richer sister is just a horrible person. But this movie, she's starting to crack, and you get to see through those cracks.
Okay.
And see why she is the way she is and what it's doing to her. And it's compelling, very compelling. And Cate Blanchett will win the Oscar for this.
Really?
She will. Like, she's fantastic.
Wow.
Fantastic.
Okay.
What she does in this is just amazing. And it's not, it's not depressing, but at the same time, it's not the feel-good movie of the year either. But if people are interested in seeing a movie that just has amazing characters, amazing acting, and just a really interesting character study, I think people will not be disappointed with Blue Jasmine.
Okay. Now, I didn't know you to be a Woody Allen fan.
It's funny you say that, because I was going to bring that up. I don't know that I necessarily am. I don't say that because I dislike him either. I did not grow up with his movies, and I didn't until I got older. I didn't see Annie Hall, which I liked, and I haven't seen Sleeper. I haven't seen Manhattan, which I'm sure a lot of people listening are like, blasphemy. But I started sort of with his whole. I wouldn't call it reinventing himself, but when he started to take on a different voice in a way with Match Point and all those films,
he stopped casting avatars of himself.
Actually, and I started watching those, and I was like, oh, these are really interesting. So I went back and visited a few of his older films, but I've been keeping up more with his newer films. What was the other last one? Midnight in Paris, which I loved, by the way.
Vicky Cristina Barcelona, isn't that?
Yeah, that was pretty good. I wouldn't say I love that one, but I did like that one. But yeah, Midnight in Paris, again, I know that's an older one, but I definitely recommend that one. But I think he's doing a really interesting thing where, knowing it's a Woody Allen movie, you can recognize that, but at the same time, if it had been, he had put a, what do you call that, pseudonym.
Yeah.
Instead, you would just be like, oh, okay, and just think it was made by a really talented writer and director.
Would that have been better to do?
No, I mean, I don't think so. But I'm just saying it's not. I don't think it's a completely beholden to being a Woody Allen movie.
I see. Gotcha. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, in a completely different direction from that one, I saw Riddick a few days ago, which was not directed by Woody Allen. Although I would like to see the version of that movie directed by Woody Allen. I think that's the Riddick that I would like to see. So, the things I do for this show, that's all I want to say, because...
No, wait, before, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but Zaki texted me and he goes, hey, do you want to see Riddick this week for the show? And I think I just wrote back, no.
Yeah. That's right. And I was like, asshole.
Yeah, I was like, I'm going to see Blue Jasmine. Have fun.
You're like, I'll go see this. Enjoy. Yeah. So that was me. I was literally. I mean, that's the reason I went and watched it, because I had a press screening which I skipped because I had to watch my children. Which takes priority occasionally, and so I was like, all right, well. I'm just not going to go. And then I was realizing that, well, if I don't see Riddick, I don't really have anything to talk about in terms of new releases. So I was like, okay. And I'm somebody, I saw Pitch Black in 2000 when it came out. It's hard to believe that's 13 years ago. And, I liked it. I thought, it was fine. Mm-hmm. I did not see Chronicles of Riddick, which was the sequel in 2004, which Sean saw. And, in fact, we talked about the trailer for Riddick on another episode that Sean missed. So, and on that episode we mentioned how Sean went and saw it. He didn't like it, and he sent me an email with the subject line Chronicles of Zaki. And it just says, we walked out. And it was a ticket that you gave him, apparently, to the free screening.
Yeah, for free. It was a free screening, and he walked out.
He walked out of the free screening. So I never saw the second one. And, this was during my phase where I was not a big fan of Vin Diesel. I wouldn't say I'm still not a huge fan of Vin Diesel, but I was like, all right, well, what intrigued me about this is the fact that, and I don't know if you know this, that Vin Diesel fought and scraped to get the rights to Riddick from Universal. And I thought this was interesting. The cameo appearance that he made in Fast and Furious 3 was unpaid, but he got the rights back.
Wow.
Did you know that?
No.
Yeah, I thought
that... that was my assumption, actually.
Really?
How this movie happened was him, I'll do your Fast and Furious, you give me Riddick. That's funny. So this is the truth.
Apparently, this is interesting. After after the Chronicles of Riddick came out. So this is 2004. Remember, this is 2004, and he had not been in the second Fast and Furious, and he hadn't had that many hits. And then that movie came out, and it tanked hard. It was a big flop. And so he went to Universal, and he was like, what if I pay you out of my own pocket to get the rights to the character? And Universal was like, no chance. Mm-hmm. And then 3 years later, they were like, hey, can you do this cameo? And he was like, I'll do the cameo if you give me the rights to Riddick. Mm-hmm. And so he leveraged his whatever clout he had at that moment. And of course, that ended up working out well for everybody, him and Universal. But that's what intrigued me about watching this movie, because it was a passion project for him where he wanted the rights back. He paid for it out of his own pocket. He put up his own house as collateral. Everything you're not supposed to do, he did. And it cost something like $40 million to make. That intrigued me. You know what I mean? Because I was like, well, what is Vin Diesel's passion project? Well, Vin Diesel's passion project is 2.5 hours of him punching CGI monsters. And that's about it. And being the biggest badass around. Nobody can beat. That's the movie. The movie should be called No One Can Beat Riddick. Because that's all it is, and it's tiresome.
Well, I haven't seen Pitch Black.
Okay.
And it seems like people like that movie. So is there...
it's like a redo.
I'm assuming it's a good story.
The first
an
one.
Interesting story.
The first one.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So is there a premise or a story or a continuation of that happens in this? Like a mythology? Is there like some sort of...
Yeah, there's a mythology.
That's running through this?
There's a mythology. It's just not an interesting mythology. Because it picks up on threads from the previous movies, but the whole franchise is built on regurgitations of other sci-fi franchises. You know what I mean? So it's this weird... Here's what it is. It's like if you took the world of Aliens and the Alien franchise and you mixed it together with the mythology of Dune. And it doesn't work because the Pitch Black is like Aliens, and the second one is like Dune. You've never seen Dune.
I have not.
But you know of it. It's very mystical.
I'm familiar with,
spiritual and all this other stuff. It's like if you took Alien and you made an Alien movie, and then you went into all this metaphysical stuff about who made us, and oh wait, hold on a second. Okay, so they did that last year. This is just weird. It's the premise of the movie is that Riddick became the leader of some alien beings in the previous movie, but he didn't like it. So he left to try to find his home world, but the people he's supposed to be leading, they betrayed him and left him on this planet that's bad. And so now he's stuck on this planet, and so he punches these alien dogs until they become his, this one dog becomes his friend, and then he fights these snake things, and honestly, I was like about the first third, I wouldn't say I was intrigued, but I was engaged, and then these other characters show up, and it's just the movie ended, and I was not like, oh my gosh, that sucked, that was friggin' awful, because it wasn't. But it's just like, all right, well, it's done. I will leave now and never think of this again,
Yeah.
And it's weird because I'm like, I feel like Vin Diesel, the character of Riddick is Vin Diesel, but so is Dominic Toretto.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because Toretto is the same thing. He's the biggest badass in the room. Nobody's going to beat him. It's the same thing, except this guy can see in the dark and punch monsters. Well, that guy drives around in the dark and he punches the Rock.
Right.
But I don't know. I kept hoping for a street race to break out, just to mix things up a little bit.
Why not? Just have Paul Walker show up as a cop, and then he's just like, screw it, let's do crime together.
He calls him Dom. It just turns into a Fast and Furious movie halfway through. So Riddick was. You probably didn't miss anything, but I still am pissed at you for making me watch that alone.
And I'm glad that I got to see the wonder that was Blue Jasmine. Well, this is Brian Hall signing off.
Well, on that note, we've pretty much bumped right up against the end of our time. So now normally this is 2 weeks in a row we've not had a trivia game. I was tempted to just drum up some Vin Diesel trivia for you, but I figured it would just be 5 minutes of awkward silence. So we'll have to skip trivia until next time. So hopefully next time we'll have Sean Coyle here to dish out the trivia. I think that's what has to happen now that he's missed so many episodes. I think that's his penance. Now we will have a lot more to talk about next time with a couple more releases, and I'm going to be seeing Rush, which is the new film directed by Ron Howard and starring Chris Hemsworth.
Curious about that, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll be talking about that, plus a lot more. But we'll save some of that for next time. Brian, where can people reach you online?
At everythingbrian.blogspot.com, Brian with an I.
And when was your most recent post?
This year.
Okay. Well,
this year that we're in right now, currently.
This calendar year, making progress. Yeah. Fair enough. You can find us at facebook.com/moviefilmpodcast. You can also find us at moviefilmpodcast.com. Also be sure to write us a review on iTunes and or Stitcher Radio, where you can download the show or stream the show on your portable apps. If you enjoy the show, please hit up iTunes and let us know what you think. Let everyone know what you think, because every review helps. Even a star ranking helps us out. If you have any questions for us, any comments you'd like us to make, any questions you'd like us to answer, send us an email at moviefilmpodcast@gmail.com. You can find me at zakiscorner.com. That's ZAKIS corner.com, as well as at the Huffington Post, where my movie reviews go up fairly often, as well as the Movie Film Podcast. On behalf of my friend Brian Hall, and on behalf of the absent Sean Coyle, who is with us in spirit, my name is Zaki Hassan, and we will see you in 2 weeks. Thanks for listening.
Welcome, friends, it's the MovieFilm Podcast. MovieFilm Podcast, enjoy the show. Zaki, Sean, and Ryan are talking about movies. MovieFilm Podcast on the radio.
Well, this is just, I'll cut this out, but we're like Daffy Duck and Donald Duck and Who Framed Roger Rabbit, the dealing. No, here's my interview.
I think you should leave all that in.
All right.
Well, my interview is with Brie Larson. What do you think of that,
Oh,
Brian?
really?
You're despicable. Anyway, moving on.